In today's globalized world, there is an increasing number of multilingual communities. In a multilingual community, several languages or several varieties of language are used. Our own country, the Philippines, is a multilingual nation. Why? Because we both have Filipino and English as our official language, as well as having numerous dialects, variety, and styles across the regions. Today, we're going to talk about language choice in multilingual communities. Linguistic repertoire is the set of language varieties used in the writing and speaking practices of a speech community. In other words, it includes all language varieties such as style, jargon, accent, and dialect that a person has stored and uses depending on different environments. The linguistic repertoire of an individual speaker is determined by the language varieties he knows and uses on a regular basis within his community. Let's take Crystal as an example. Crystal is currently studying and living in Baguio City. Let's see the language varieties she knows and uses within her community. Gawis ay agsaba kanda taku amin. Naimbag nga aldaw kanda tayo amin. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Good morning to each and every one of us. That is Crystal's linguistic repertoire. Just like Crystal, everyone has their own linguistic repertoire. Now, with all these language varieties stored, how do people make language choices in a particular situation? In fact, the language choice a people make is closely related to domains of language use. Domain is used to denote the social context of the interaction. This concept goes back to American sociologist Joshua Fishman. Speech communities are made up of several domains that organize and define social life. Typical domains in a community include work, family, education, religion, and friendship. Of course, there are still other domains, but the domains I have mentioned are the most common ones identified in multilingual communities. Now, each domain has three important social factors that affects them: participants, setting, and topic. These factors influence language choices in a way that every domain is associated with a particular variety or code that is thought appropriate for use. To understand this better, let's see how Crystal interacts with different people in her community. Hala, damos usalunan badok. Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please explain it again? I didn't understand the last part. Thank you. Anyang tuloy ba dyan plano tayong ag-swimming no Sabado? Tuloy? Ikaw din, sama ka na. Magpaalam ka kasi para masaya. During that day, she at least used 4 different languages in 3 different domains. When talking with her sister about her daily life, she used kankanaoy. When she asked her English teacher about the lesson, she used English. When talking to her local friend about their weekend plans, she used Ilocano. And when talking to her non-Baguio friend with the same topic, she used Tagalog. As you can see, she used different languages based on the participant, the setting, and the topic. It is also worth noting that even if it's in the same domain, people can still use different languages. For example, going back to our example, the domain is friendship. The setting and the topic are the same, but because the participant changed, Crystal chose a different language that is appropriate for the both of them. Aside from these 3 important social factors, there are also other relevant social factors that might affect how a person chooses which appropriate language to use. These are status relationship, formality of the interaction, goal of the interaction, and social distance.
Hi everyone, this is Charmaine, and for this afternoon, we are going to talk about diglossia. So what is diglossia? That's right. So diglossia is a situation in which a community uses two different languages or varieties of a language for different situations. So next one is there are three features for diglossia. First one, there are two distinct varieties of the same language are used in the community. First one is the high variety, second one is the low variety. For the second feature, high variety and low variety complement each other, but each variety is used for distinct functions. Third feature is no one uses high variety in everyday situation. So what is high variety? High variety is learned at school and is considered as the correct variety, for its speakers learn how to write and learn grammar rules.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yesterday, before votes were tallied, I shot a video that some of you may have seen in which I said to the American people, regardless of which side you were on in the election, regardless of whether your candidate won or lost, the sun would come up in the morning.
So next is the low variety. So low variety is not formally learned, but it is learned as a spoken language. Its speakers don't learn grammar or writing. And it is more flexible, for it is not restricted by the rules of the high variety.
Morning. What's up with your hair?
All natural.
You're in early?
Yeah.
When Niagara Falls that bad?
You know what? We didn't make it. Franny got car sick.
Oh, poor girl.
So for instance, the standard Arabic is regarded as the language of Quran. It is taught in school, and it is used for very formal interactions and in writing. But for most everyday conversations, people used the everyday colloquial variety or the low variety. Polyglossia is used for situations where a community uses more than 3 languages. For example, the polyglossia in Singapore. Mandarin and the Singapore English formal variety functions as high variety, while Cantonese, Hokkien, and the informal Singaporean English is an L variety or low variety.
Good day, so I will be talking about code switching. So when we say code switching, this is also known as language switching, because when we say code, these are actually language or dialects that is peculiar to a certain country, society, community, or any group of people. So it also says here, the practice of changing one's dialect, language, speaking style to better fit one's environment. So it says here, dialect, language, and speaking style. You have to take note of those 3 words, because those are the things that you would mostly alter when you do code switching. Another thing is, you also need to keep in mind that when you do code switching, it is only applicable to bilingual and multilingual, or bidialectal or multidialectal. Because when you do code switching, of course, you need at least 2 or more codes for you to successfully do it, because you can't really switch anything if you only know a single one, right? So now let's go to the factors that affect code switching. We have actually indicated here 4, but if you're going to search, there's a lot more. We're just gonna focus on this. The first one is participants. It's indicated under it is respect and identity. So you might be asking, participants in what? Participants in the communication or in the conversation. So is the speaker and the addressee or the listener. So that's that or any other third party that may be joining your conversation. So we've indicated their respect. People do code switching as a sign of respect to their addressee or to the person they're talking to. A good example here would be when you're talking to your teacher. Good morning, ma'am. Pwede po ba? Good afternoon po, ma'am. Excuse me po, ma'am. Pwede pong that. So you're going to code switch for as a sign of respect to the teacher, right? Because when you say it in English, it's more of like to us, it's more of like a more formal way of greeting our teachers. So it has a better impact when it comes to respect. Next one is it establishes one's identity. A very good example of this would be during Miss Universe. So, uh, let's take Philippines for example, like um, what my Miss Catriona had done. When she introduced herself during Miss Universe, she said, "Mabuhay! I'm I'm Catriona Magnayon Gray, Philippines." So the word "mabuhay" there actually, as you can see, it's from Tagalog, it became English, but then the word "mabuhay" there actually established her identity to the audience that she is a Filipina because she speaks Filipino language. So that's that. Next one is solidarity. It shows shared ethnicity or group membership. So a concrete example here would be, for example, I am talking to my American friend. Then here comes a Filipino friend who will be joining our conversation. So instead of they call that, instead of greeting her in English, I'm gonna say, "Uy, kamusta ka na? How long have you been here?" That the greeting there, "Kamusta ka na," is actually uh, establishing our or acknowledging that we both are Filipinos and do we speak we both speak Tagalog and that we share a common nationality. So that is about solidarity. The next one there is status. Status. Under this is relationship, social status or position. So social status is somehow similar to the respect in the participants. So our concrete example here would be when talking to government officials or police officers, or to anyone who have a higher position than you in the society, someone who should be addressed as a ma'am or sir, you're going to change your speaking style, even your dialect, for example, would be, what do you call that? A boss and an employee. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Ito na po yung files nyo. Ito na po yung documents na pinapagawa nyo. Um, Goodbye, sir. Thank you, sir. A lot of greetings, actually the greetings at the end and the beginning is usually what we call as code switching. It mostly happen only at the beginning or what we call that in between sentences or at the first of the sentences. So that's how status affect code switching. Next one and the last one that we have is topic. So when we say topic, this is our attitude or your attitude or perspective towards a topic and even your background. A good example here would be when I'm talking to, I have two friends is a Tagalog native who speak in Tagalog, and I have an Igorot. I have an Igorot friend, and then the three of us are like, for example, I've been talking to my I'm talking to my Igorot friend, and since we do have a companion who is a Tagalog, and we all know uh, how to speak Tagalog, uh, normally uh, we would normally use it since it's the most common language among the three of us. But then when I'm talking to my Igorot friend who is um, also an Ilocano speaker, and then he he would change the topic in from school into talking about kanyaw, for example. When we talk about kanyaw, I'm gonna be talking to her, uy, inta na, pandan gayam nagkanyaw, intay na alam niya, baka dawat-wat da, inta agalat isupot, kasi. So when I'm talking to my friends in that, to my Igorot friend in that way, it's actually easier for us to talk about kanyaw rather than talking it in Ilocaan, in Tagalog, like, uy, nakuha mo na ba yung kwan? Nakuha mo na ba yung nakuha mo na ba yung supot mo, yung plastic mo? It's kind of weird. It's kind of hard because um, when you use Tagalog, it's harder because some words in Ilocano have what they call that, have no, really no, what they call that, katumbas or equal when it comes to Tagalog or also in English. So they have the different varieties. So it's easier to use the most convenient one. So that's what topic is saying. And the last one is quote from a person. So when you're going to quote from a person, you would usually do code switching. And a concrete example will be, for example, I am a guest speaker at an event, and then I am talking about what they call it, responsibilities among uh, young Filipino children, and I'm talking in Tagalog, and I want to quote uh, maybe a quotation from Spider-Man, and then it would go like this. Sabi nga ni Spider-Man, sabi nga sa panood ni Spider-Man, great responsibility comes with great power. Kaya kayong mga bata, ganito, ganyan, ganito, ganyan. So, the quotation there is in English, so from Tagalog and in English, I've actually taken the quotation there because it's actually better when you um, when you do code switching rather than translating it into the local language, because it would not have the same impact or it would not have the same dramatic effect as it would when it is on its uh, original language. So you can just do code switching for a better impact. Next one is we have metaphorical switching. So when you say metaphorical switching, this actually happens when language varieties have ethnic associations. When we say ethnic associations, these are institutions that we belong to. For example, would be I am an I am a Baptist. I am a Baptist, and we don't like, and we don't want. I think it's Baptist or INC. I think INC maybe, who is a religion who doesn't eat anything that has blood, and then here comes someone who is a non-believer, then we would be, even though we're friends, when the topic changed from maybe from just hanging out into eating something that has blood, me as a Baptist will show my perspective, will show my side, and he will also show his side as a non-believer. So there will be conflict, meaning we, us being friends, from being friendly, talking casually, we're now already be talking about, we're gonna be talking in a way that is more like um more like we're already debating, more maybe a more bit more formal, since um we have to establish that uh, kami nga, sabi nga sa amin sa Biblia, bawal daw kumain ng may dugo. Ganun. And then he would say that, naniniwala ka naman sa mga ganyan. So there's gonna be conflicting ideas. So from being friendly, it's gonna be like more of, what do you call that? Uh, some maybe a rude, or the politeness is very, very small. Sometimes we would even use street language now as a way of expressing our emotions now, or expressing our sides. Therefore, from being friendly and being friendly, being casual, it turned now into rude street language to somewhat a debate, and we have like we're already fighting over something. So when you do metaphorical switching, it's more like establishing your, do you call that? the institution that you belong to or the associations that you belong to, rather than focusing on what is being said. It's like saying that I am a Baptist and this is what we believe in, and you are a non-believer and those are what you believe in. So this is me, this is us, and those are you, and those are you guys. So that's mostly the use of metaphorical switching. The last one that we have here is actually have effective purpose. When we say effective purpose, you do code switching for the purpose of expressing your emotions or affections. So when you do this, you would usually just want to vent out the emotions that you've been keeping in. It actually adds more dramatic effect. So a concrete example here would be very common among us Filipinos is actually um, cursing. When you're cursed, we usually do code switching, especially during the now in the millennials, they usually do cursing even in an English form, so shall. So it goes like this, right? If you're going to, if I'm fighting over someone, it's like gonna be like this. Anong sabi mo? Ako pa may kasalanan na bumagsak ka. Well, fuck you. F you. Or, well, shit. O kaya, maybe, shit ka. Like, shit and ka. So, as you can see, it's more like you're not already focusing on the grammatical structure of the sentence, but rather more on the expression of your emotions. So you're switching codes because you only want to express your emotions. When you say F you ka, then it's grammatically wrong actually, but then it still works when you just want to vent out your emotions. It have more dramatic effect. It has more impact when you're going to hear it. Especially, for example, would be in Ilocano. And then, being cursed in Ilocano is actually very hurtful when you curse rather than you curse in Tagalog, right? When they say ukin inam, it's actually kind of more hurtful rather than saying cursing in Tagalog than tang ina mo. It's like you would prefer the Ilocano because it has more dramatic effects. Therefore, you would code switch it from there for you to they call that express your emotions because you want more intensity when you express it. So that's one of the purpose of they call that of code switching when you do it for an effective purpose. So that's that. Thank you for listening.